The man who led Iran for decades has been buried. Now the question is, was this the end of an era for Iran? Or is it the beginning of a more dangerous one? This question is echoing across West Asia. We tell you more.
The funeral is over, the battle for the region is not. Iran just showed the world exactly who survived this war. A leader is buried, a message has been sent. This was never just a funeral. Millions did not gather in Tehran to grieve alone. They gathered to answer a question the world had been asking for months. Could Iran be broken? The crowds gave their reply. Ali Khamenei is now laid to rest in Mashhad, ending a state funeral that stretched across 5 cities and 4 months of delay. But the story does not end at the grave. It begins there. Washington and Tel Aviv went to war in February, hoping to shatter the Islamic Republic from the top down. They killed the supreme leader, they struck his commanders, they bet the regime would collapse behind him. It did not. His son Mojtaba now holds the title, though he has barely been seen in public since the strike that killed his father, fueling questions about who truly is steering the state. Yet the system built in 1979 is still standing, and it just proved that with a funeral crowd in the millions, the emotions are overpowering and millions stood on the streets holding posters of the late supreme leader, some with tears in their eyes, while others crying out loud for revenge.
America is the great Satan and Israel is filth. God willing, we demand vengeance. Vengeance for Imam Hussein. Vengeance for Imam Khamenei. O Hussein, O Hussein, O Hussein.
For us, the loss of the leader weighs even more heavily than the loss of our own parents. I welcome him back to his hometown. Though we were not worthy enough to see him before, he is here now, and we will go to visit him every day.
People were deeply distressed and anxious. They truly could not imagine what would happen after the Imam. Yet we saw the leader step in and set everything right, making things even better than before. I am certain that Sayyid Mojtaba too will perform well and successfully handle the challenges ahead.
Compare the pictures. In 1979, the revolution toppled a monarchy backed by Washington. The images of Shah Mohammad Reza Pahlavi's portrait being thrown, burnt on the streets. The Gulf states, rattled, formed their own council in 1981 and opened the doors wider to American bases and hardware. Nearly 5 decades later, a second shockwave hit the region, and this time the roles have shifted. Saudi Arabia, Qatar and Oman remain inside the American security net. But the confidence behind that alliance has visibly cracked. These images of Saudi delegation led by the country's deputy foreign minister at Khamenei's funeral came as a surprise to many Western experts. Iranian retaliatory attacks had targeted the American bases on Saudi soil, and the messaging was stark. Iran's opposition in exile, led by Reza Pahlavi, called for uprising from abroad. On the ground, the crowds that mattered were not chanting for him. They were mourning their supreme leader. They were familiar chants against America and chilling messages vowing revenge, which even made the US President Donald Trump make this admission.
I'm number one on the kill list for Iran. They're lovely people. I'm number one. So I don't know. I can't tell you that, but I don't really care because I'm doing my job and I'm doing it, I hope, better than anybody's ever done it.
The control of the Strait of Hormuz has emerged as Iran's most potent strategic weapon. One, it appears more willing to defend through military escalation than its nuclear program, over which it endured decades of sanctions and diplomatic isolation. The waterway has become so central to Tehran's strategy that Iranian forces this week reportedly opened fire on ships transiting the strait without what it considered its approval, triggering an exchange of fire with the United States and putting last month's fragile interim peace deal at risk.
The Strait of Hormuz today is the only card Iran has, and regardless of the threat and the menace that the Americans will direct toward Iran, even by bombing it every single day or intensifying the bombing, Iran will not let go, and the Strait of Hormuz will not return to prior February 2026.
For Iran's leadership, Hormuz is no longer merely a maritime choke point. It is the country's strongest source of leverage in its confrontation with the West. The card, it believes, compelled Washington to halt the war and the foundation of its broader regional strategy.
So from a crude oil point of view, about 20% of the world's oil flows through there on a daily basis. So too the same for liquefied natural gas, and slightly higher as well for petrochemical feedstocks as well. So things that go into making plastics. So essentially this really narrow choke point waterway is critical to the global economy.
The war itself left deep scars on American positioning in the region. Reports point to US installations damaged and future troop movements under review. Syria, meanwhile, refused to be drawn in, holding its neutrality even as missiles crossed its skies. Khamenei has now been buried, but the movement he led is entering a new phase. The missiles sent one message, the funeral sent another. Wars are fought with weapons. History is often decided by resolve. And in Tehran, the crowds were determined to show that one leader's death would not mean the end of the revolution.